Water is not just a resource. For some countries, it is survival. In South Asia, one treaty has quietly prevented catastrophe for more than 6 decades. It survived wars, it survived political breakdowns, it survived hostility that few agreements ever do. That treaty is the Indus Waters Treaty. Signed in 1960 with World Bank facilitation, it governs how the waters of the Indus Basin are shared between Pakistan and India. And for over 60 years, it has worked. Not because the two countries trusted each other, but because the treaty was precise, binding, and rooted in international law. Today, that balance is under strain. On 1st January 2026, Pakistan issued a categorical statement. India is not permitted to misuse its restricted rights over the western rivers. This response followed reports that India had approved the 260 megawatt Dulhasti Stage 2 hydropower project on the Chenab River in Indian-occupied Jammu and Kashmir without prior notification to Pakistan. This is not a procedural oversight. It is a fundamental issue of compliance. To understand why, we need to understand what the Indus Waters Treaty actually does. Under the treaty, Pakistan received exclusive rights over the Indus, Jhelum and Chenab, the western rivers that account for nearly 80% of the basin's total water flow. These rivers sustain Pakistan's agriculture, which contributes roughly 23% of GDP and supports over a third of the workforce. India, in contrast, was granted control over the eastern rivers, the Ravi, the Sutlej and Beas. Its use of the western rivers was deliberately limited. Yes, India is allowed to build run-of-the-river hydropower projects, but only under strict technical conditions. No excessive storage, no gated spillways that allow flow manipulation, and most importantly, mandatory prior information sharing with Pakistan. This requirement is not symbolic, it is the treaty's safeguard. Now, the problem with Dulhasti Stage 2 is not simply the project itself, it is the absence of transparency. Pakistan was not formally notified. Technical details were not shared. Consultation did not simply take place. And that matters because the Chenab River alone contributes over 21% of Pakistan's total river inflows. Even temporary manipulation of flows, especially during low water seasons, can disrupt irrigation, drinking water supply, and power generation downstream. Pakistan's Rabi crops, dependent on winter flows, are particularly vulnerable. Run-of-the-river does not automatically mean harmless. Design choices matter. Control over timing matters. And this concern is not hypothetical. Dulhasti is part of a pattern. Pakistan has raised technical objections to several Indian projects before. Paglihar, Kishanganga, Ratle. In multiple cases, disputes had to be taken to neutral experts or international arbitration because bilateral mechanisms failed. These objections were not political, they were technical. Excessive pondage, gated spillways, design deviations that increase India's ability to regulate river flows, something that treaty explicitly seeks to prevent. Independent experts have acknowledged this risk. For Pakistan, water security is not a talking point, it is a red line. The country is already among the most water-stressed in the world. Per capita water availability has fallen from over 5,000 cubic meters in 1951 to less than 1,000 today, approaching absolute scarcity. Punjab and Sindh produce more than 70% of Pakistan's food, and both depend on uninterrupted flows from the western rivers. In this context, any threat to Pakistan's share of Indus Basin waters is not just an environmental concern, it is a national security issue. The situation is further complicated by geography. Dulhasti Stage 2 is located in Indian-occupied Kashmir, a disputed territory. Since 2019, India has accelerated infrastructure development there without the consent of the Kashmiri people or Pakistan, the principal lower riparian state. Unilateral actions on shared rivers in disputed territory raise serious legal and moral questions. They also deepen mistrust in a region already under strain. Despite all this, Pakistan's response has been measured. Islamabad has not threatened to abandon the treaty. It has not politicized water. It has consistently called for dialogue, data sharing, and dispute resolution within the treaty framework. This restraint matters because treaties like the Indus Waters Treaty do not survive on goodwill alone. They survive on compliance. At a time when climate change is intensifying water stress across South Asia, the cost of unilateralism is rising. What begins as a technical violation can escalate into a strategic crisis. Pakistan's message on Dulhasti Stage 2 is clear and lawful. Transparency is not optional. Prior notification is not a favor. Compliance is not negotiable. The Indus Waters Treaty is not a tool of pressure. It is a shared responsibility, and protecting it is not just about Pakistan or India. It is about preventing water from becoming the next fault line of conflict in South Asia. Thank you for watching.